Hey guys, welcome back to Click Academics. In today's video, I'm going to be teaching you guys how to solve this exponential problem. And make sure to stick until the end of the problem, where I have 3 bonus problems that are similar to this one, which you guys can try to solve. Alright, so I have 8 to the power of 6 times 5 to the power of 5. So for my solution, 8 to the power of 6, we can rewrite as 8 to the power of 5 plus 1, because 6 is the same thing as 5 plus 1. So now I have 8 to the power of 5 plus 1 times 5 to the power of 5. Now, if I have something in the form a to the power of m plus n, this is the same thing as a to the power of m times a to the power of n. So a to the power of 5 plus 1 is going to equal a to the power of 5 times a to the power of 1. Now this times 5 to the power of 5. Now, if I have something in the form a to the power of m times b to the power of m, this is the same thing as a times b to the power of n. So in this case, I have 8 to the power of 5 times 5 to the power of 5, and because these two have the same exponents, I can multiply these two. So this is going to equal 8 times 5 to the power of 5 times 8 to the power of 1. And now 8 times 5, this is 40. So now I have 40 to the power of 5 times 8 to the power of 1. And now 40 to the power of 5, well 40, this is the same thing as 4 times 10. So now I have 4 times 10 to the power of 5 times 8. And now if I have something in the form a times b to the power of m, it's the same thing as a to the power of m times b to the power of m. So in this case, 4 times 10 to the power of 5, this is going to equal 4 to the power of 5 times 10 to the power of 5. Now I have this times 8. Now 4, this is the same thing as 2 squared. So if I replace 2 squared with 4, I get 2 squared to the power of 5 times 10 to the power of 5 times 8. Now if I have something in the form a to the power of m to the power of n, this is the same thing as a to the power of m times n. So 2 to the power of 2 to the power of 5, that's going to equal 2 to the power of 10, because 2 times 5 is 10. Now I have this times 10 to the power of 5 times 8. So now 8 is the same thing as 2 to the power of 3. So now I have 2 to the power of 10 times 2 to the power of 3 times 10 to the power of 5. Now if I have something in the form a to the power of m times a to the power of n, this is equal to a to the power of m plus n. So 2 to the power of 10 times 2 to the power of 3, that's going to equal 2 to the power of 10 plus 3, which is 13. So now I have 2 to the power of 13 times 2 to the power of 5. And 2 to the power of 13, this is equal to 8,192. And 10 to the power of 5, this is going to equal 1 with 5 zeros. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now if I multiply these two, I get 8192, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. So this is my answer. Alright, so I have x to the power of 16 minus 169 is equal to 0. Now x to the power of 16 we can rewrite as x to the power of 8 times 2, because 16 is equal to 8 times 2. And now if I have something in the form a to the power of m times n, this is the same thing as a to the power of m to the power of n. So x to the power of 8 times 2, that's going to equal x to the power of 8 to the power of 2 minus 169, this is the same thing as 13 to the power of 2. Now if I have something in the form a squared minus b squared, this is the same thing as a plus b times a minus b. So in this case, a is equal to x to the power of 8 and b is equal to 13. So now I have x to the power of 8 plus 13 times x to the power of 8 minus 13 is equal to 0. So now x to the power of 8 minus 13, this is the same thing as x to the power of 4 to the power of 2 minus the square root of 13 squared. And again, these two are both to the power of 2. Remember, if I have something in the form a squared minus b squared, this is equal to a plus b times a minus b. So in this case, I'm going to have x to the power of 4 plus the square root of 13 times x to the power of 4 minus the square root of 13. And now I have this with, remember, I still have my x to the power of 8 plus 13 from the start. So I have x to the power of 8 plus 13, and all of this is equal to 0. So now I have three equations here. I have x to the power of 4 plus the square root of 13 is equal to 0. I have x to the power of 4 minus the square root of 13 is equal to 0. And I have x to the power of 8 plus 13 is equal to 0. So for x to the power of 8 plus 13 equals 0, all I have to do is subtract 13 on both sides. These two cancel out, and left with x to the power of 8 is equal to negative 13. So now if I take the 8th root on both sides, these two cancel out, and left with x is equal to the 8th root of the square root of negative 13, or sorry, the eighth root of negative 13. And you actually can't take a positive root, or sorry, not a positive, an even root on a negative number. So this is wrong. So now for x to the power of 4 plus the square root of 13 equals 0, I'm going to first subtract the square root of 13 on both sides. So then these two cancel out. Now I have x to the power of 4 is equal to negative square root of 13. And again, same thing over here. This is not going to work out because you can't take the power of a positive number. You can't take the fourth power of a positive number and make it negative. So this is wrong as well. So now all we are left with is x to the power of 4 minus the square root of 13 equals 0. So I'm going to first add the square root of 13 on both sides. So now I have x to the power of 4 is equal to square root of 13. Now the square root of 13, this is the same thing as 13 to the power of 1/2. So now if I take the power of 1/4 on both sides, now if I have something in the form a to the power of m to the power of n, this is equal to a to the power of m times n. 4 times 1/4 is 1, so these two cancel out. So now I have x is equal to 1/2 times 1/4 is 1/8. So 13 to the power of 1/8. Alright, so in this video, I'm going to solve the problem 2 to the power of 25 minus 1. So, to first start, I'm going to rewrite 2 to the power of 25 as 2 to the power of 24 plus 1. And then we have our minus 1 at the end. And the reason I'm doing this, and rewriting 25 as 24 plus 1, is so now I can use the property a to the power of m plus n is equal to a to the power of m times a to the power of n. So 2 to the power of 24 plus 1 is going to equal 2 to the power of 24 times 2 to the power of 1 minus 1. Now basically our goal throughout this video is to change our values to be as small as possible, so then at the end we can do whatever we need to do with them to get our final result. So 2 to the power of 24, how do we simplify this and make it even smaller? I can rewrite this as 2 to the power of 12 times 2. And another property of exponents is that if I have something in the form a to the power of m times n, this is equal to a to the power of m to the power of n. So 2 to the power of 12 times 2 is going to equal 2 to the power of 12 to the power of 2, and I have this times 2 minus 1. So now I'm actually going to plug in the actual value of 2 to the power of 12 because 2 to the power of 12 is small enough where we know the exact value of it. So if you guys don't know what 2 to the power of 12 is, well, 2 to the power of 10, you should always remember this as 1024. So 2 to the power of 11 is going to be double of 1024, which is 2048. And 2 to the power of 12, which is the value we're looking for, is going to be double of 2048, which is 4096. So now I get 4096 squared times 2 minus 1. And now this is equal to, I'm going to simplify this, 4000 plus 96 squared times 2 minus 1. And the reason I'm doing this is because 4096 squared is really hard to calculate by itself. So if we change it to 4000 plus 96 squared, I can use the property a plus b squared is equal to a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. So in this case, a is 4000 and b is 96. So this turns into 4000 squared plus 2 times 4000 times 96 plus 96 squared. And I have all of this minus 1. Oh, sorry, all of this times 2 minus 1. Now, 4000 squared is equal to 16 million. 2 times 4,000 is 8,000, and 8,000 times 96 is equal to 768,000. And now I have this plus 96 squared, which is equal to 9,216. And all of this I have times 2 minus 1. So now, I'm going to add all these up. So if I add all of these up in the parentheses, I get 16,777,216. So now I have this times 2 minus 1. So if I multiply this by 2, I get 33,554,432, and I have this minus 1, which is equal to 33,554,431. So this is my answer to this problem.